Well, hello. You are listening to the No Brainers Empowering Possibilities show. Dialogues of encouragement with fresh perspectives, invitations to ahas, a little bit of science, a dash of behavioral psychology, and a whole lot of creative fun. So if leveling up is on your radar, my friend, you are at the right show. I'm your host, Roseanne Marsh. I'm the author of the Teen and Parent Empowerment Curriculum, Level Up, and you are listening to episode number 10. Your prescription for your gratitude glasses are ready. Come pick them up. So we grow up hearing the words, you should be grateful, say thank you, express thanks, show appreciation. And if we're one that politely says thank you at the right times in our life, well, it's probably because we had some good role models. But beyond the being nice to those that do nice things for us, is there a power behind gratitude that we need to be aware of? I mean, is there something extraordinary about the ability to practice and build the muscle of gratitude that can actually serve as a shield and a protection? Yes. And it all depends on how we use gratitude. There are 3 levels of gratitude, and each one of them brings more richness into our life. But our focus isn't just on the feel-good hormones that converge onto our bodies and the mental perks of appreciation. Today, I want to put a twist on this and want to talk about stinky fish and gratitude rituals. Years ago, after I purchased my SUV, I was given the gift of an accessory manager who came to my house and he helped me learn all the bells and the whistles of my new car. To have someone come and show me how to set the radio stations, how to set when I would need to rotate the tires, the fuel, the oil changes, that was a relief. And as we worked together for 45 minutes, learning all about the cockpit in my new SUV, at the very end, he said to me, okay, so is there anything else you need? And I was like, absolutely. You know what? I cannot get my garage door opener to pair with the garage door opener in my new SUV. Can you help me do that? And he goes, no problem. He goes, I owned a garage door company and I know all the brands. So he set up a ladder to my door lifter and he started to pair it with my car. And he tried multiple times. But then he started scratching his head and he opened up the panel to see the mechanics of the lifter and he went through the diagnostics and he tried to pair it again and again and again. And after about an hour, he said, you know what? I can't believe this, but I have never not been able to program a garage door opener. So I don't know what to tell you. I was like, well, wait, I need to be able to get in and out of my garage. Is there anything else we can do? And I thought, well, you know, I have another garage. Are you willing to see if you can get it functioning over there? And so he agreed and he said, you know, there's probably a glitch in this one. So we switched over to the other door and started the same process over and over again. And you know what? The same results happened. But this time he got on the phone with the manufacturer of the door lift. And he took the motherboard out of the lifter. He was testing the circuitry on the electronics. And all the systems were working. And with sweat beading on his face, he just let out a sigh and he said, never would I guess that this would not be working. I have built these openers from scratch. I know them inside and out. There is no way that this should not be working. So another hour had passed. And I realized that literally we had been working together for almost 3 hours. And I had kept him company in the garage. And to keep busy, I'd been cleaning and organizing as I went. And he paused for a moment and he was watching me clean. And I had a rather large home for the area. And he looked straight at me and he said, how do you do it? How do you keep up on this house? And I got amused for a moment. And then I said with confidence, I don't know, but I am so grateful. Bing! Immediately, the garage door started descending and the car was synced to the lifter. And we both stood with our mouths open. Said, did what I think just happened really happened? And I said, yes. He said, and did it happen when you said the word grateful? And I just marveled and said, yes. Well, then we had another half-hour amazing conversation about gratitude. And I gratefully opened and closed my garage doors before he left. Now, there are days when the garage door won't close and my teens make fun of me, but I raise my happy voice in the universe and I say, thank you for closing today. And this will sound crazy, but immediately the door closes. And I'm sure that it's the door reminding me to be grateful. So why do we tell you that story? Well, the universe absolutely wanted to bring to my attention the fact that gratitude was a key. Gratitude opens doors and closes garage doors. But gratitude makes things move forward. And it happens when we recognize it, when we feel it, and when we express it. Okay, so I have a hypothetical question for you, but what if you woke up tomorrow and the only things that you had were those things that you had openly expressed gratitude for? What would you have? What would be missing from your life? Now, seriously, think about this. What could you possibly not live without, but would not have because you haven't expressed gratitude for it? What about your bed? Your fridge that keeps food preserved, the abundance and the availability of food, your ability to breathe, your family, your job, your city, your home, clean water, indoor toilets. Think about it. Poof. If you had never expressed gratitude for them, would they be gone? Now, what came to your mind? There's so many things that we are blessed with, so many things that we experience, people we rub shoulders with, and yet maybe we've never had the thought that we need to express gratitude for them until maybe tomorrow when they all disappear if we don't take the opportunity to express gratitude. Now, this is a hypothetical experiment, but it's there to help us awaken to the opportunities we have to express gratitude. So another question, what are those things that you always express gratitude for? What are those things that easy answer like, oh yeah, I always express gratitude for this? I mean, my family is one, but another one for me is hot water. Oh man, I praise the heavens every day for that hot water. I even think that if I ever had to live without it, I want to be able to remember what this feels like. I lived in Italy and I had 2 years of no hot water in a villa that we lived in. So I had a big, huge pot on the stove that I had to boil if I wanted to wash dishes or even take a bath. So yes, I appreciate hot water. So what is that thing that you identify that you express gratitude for all the time? Just for a minute, I want you to think about what you're grateful for. And what are the thoughts that come up? And what are the feelings that come up? Our mind can think thoughts, but it's usually our heart that generates out those feelings. So what feelings and emotions come up? What are you feeling? What are the emotions? Now I'm going to use my example about the hot water. When I think of feelings and emotions around that, I think of comfort and appreciation and nurturing and a feeling of wellness. And when we have emotion about something, we're resonating out a frequency and a vibration specific to that emotion. Have you ever been around someone and you almost can tell when something is wrong? And it's not just because of the facial cues, it's because you can feel something that they are resonating out. A friend introduced me to a life-changing book for me. It's David Hawkins' Power versus Force. And in that he demonstrates that all things, people, symbols, food, thoughts, either have a strengthening or a weakening effect on the body. The more aware you are of these, the more you can surround yourself with those things that strengthen rather than weaken you. He even published a map of consciousness with the emotions that have the weakening effect and those that are empowering. So it starts at the bottom with shame being the lowest, moving up with guilt, fear, anger, and pride, then moving into the higher, more strengthening emotions like willingness, acceptance, love, joy, peace, with the very top being enlightenment. Well, Level Up, we have a similar graph with a little bit different emotions attached to it because gratitude was one that he didn't have on there, and yet it's so powerful. But we have a graph with a midway point where boredom is, and we can either spiral down with these emotions or we can spiral up with these emotions. So the lower area, we are disempowered. We have these heavy feelings, but as we move up and get into gratitude, it is one of the higher frequencies, we are more empowered. We have lighter feelings. So I know you're familiar with the electroencephalogram or electrocardiogram. These measure the electrical outputs of the heart and the brain. Well, there's similar machines that measure the frequency of electricity given out by an emotion that you're in. I've had this done many times and it's fascinating. But you know what? You don't even need a machine to check in on what emotion you have. You just check your body and your mind. But it's good to realize what emotion you're in, because when we recognize what emotion we're in, we can decide whether we want to stay there or if we have a desire to change it. But if we recognize what we're feeling and then feel it, we can make that decision whether it stays or whether it goes. Now, we're talking today about gratitude, and there's power when you can recognize what you have gratitude for, feel it, bring up that emotion just like I did with hot water, and express it. Talk about it or share it or write it down. So here's the point. We're going to experience life just like the electrocardiogram. Things are going to be up and down and up and down and up and down. We can't always stay up. There's always a down, and there's purpose in being able to feel a difference between emotions. The feeling of gratitude is a powerful emotion. Gratitude can reduce the frequency and duration of episodes of depression. This makes sense because you can't feel opposing emotions at the same time. You can't feel envious and grateful at the same time. They're incompatible. If you are grateful, you can't resent someone. It's also something that we can get into very simply. Just like you said, tell me something you're grateful for. You were able to go there very fast. Now, Albert Einstein, oh my gosh, I love this guy. But he said, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we use to create them. So let's say we're in a state of anxiety. Our ability to problem solve, to be empowered, is less than if we are in a state of reason or hope. And imagine if we were going to a state of gratitude, which all of you did just a minute ago. You were literally taken into that state of empowerment. And when we go there, you are better able to problem solve. Your body is washed by the release of feel-good hormones. Anxiety and stress is diminished, and the list goes on in the different ways that it helps us mentally and emotionally. And you didn't take a pill. It was free and it was immediate. You were able to place yourself in a heightened state of empowerment simply by feeling gratitude. Now you pair this with a movement, you get out there, you walk, you stretch, you dance, and now your body can stay in that state for a longer period of time. Now it gets even better. It was a research or a study that was done. And I love this particular one because it's about 300 college students. And they were all seeking mental health counseling at the university. And they divided them in 3 groups. In one group, they said, we want you to write a gratitude letter to someone every week and also have your counseling. The second group, they were like, we want you to write about your feelings of hard things, or your hard emotions that you are dealing with, and also get your counseling. And then the third group, they didn't give any writing assignments to. The group they assigned the gratitude letter to, at the end of the 4 weeks, they had immense gratitude because and then after 12 weeks, they had even more gratitude because they had delivered the letter to the recipient. And by delivering that letter, there was this residual of overall mental well-being that didn't happen necessarily just from counseling, but because they had expressed gratitude. Now, the grand takeaway here from this and similar studies is that by writing a gratitude letter or expressing, we have this shared benefit of they benefit and we benefit. And those residual benefits are up to 3 months when we recognize it. we feel it, and we express it. Now, many years ago, I heard the word or the saying, a grateful heart sits at a continual feast. Let me say it again. A grateful heart sits at a continual feast. I was drawn to these words. I even had it as a screensaver for a lot of years, but I wanted to feast on these blessings. I wanted to feast, but I just wasn't sure how to get there. How do I get into a constant state of gratitude? So since then, I've learned that it's all about creating a lens of gratitude. Now, I want you to envision this scenario. I have a picture that I took on the shores of a beautiful boating and water skiing reservoir in northern Utah. We were super excited to spend that day on the sand. And even though it was a crisp fall day, being in nature was a real big draw for us. And in the horizon, now envision this in your mind, in the horizon, in the vista, you can see trees on the mountains that have turned these beautiful fall colors. And there's white caps on the top from a dusting of snow. And with the beach, the water of the reservoir, and these beautiful mountains, it truly was a view to be grateful for. And as we entered the beach, there in the middle was this big, stinky, dead fish. And it wasn't a small one. It was right there where we wanted to camp our chairs. And we had a decision to make right then. We could focus on the stinky fish and let it spoil our day trip, or we could raise our sights and enjoy the vista of the beautiful lake and the mountains. And we could choose where our focus would be. And where we chose is where our energy would go. And our lives have symbolic stinky fish in them, don't they? But we also have the beautiful vistas. So it's truly where we want to feast. Where do we want to focus? Do we let the stinky fish ruin our lives with complaining and blaming and disappointment and arguing and disapproval and fear and anguish and despair? Or do we literally raise ourselves up and look for the vistas, look for the bright spots, the things that we can be grateful for? Because, when we do, we place ourselves in a position of empowerment, and it's a choice of focus. Gratitude is a learned skill. It does not come naturally because our minds are problem solvers. Our subconscious is all about keeping us safe. It's reminding us of our past experiences. But gratitude is really about us training our subconscious. The mind is starting to pay attention to the up level in life when we go into gratitude. But we have to keep going back there and going back there to train the subconscious. Now, there's 3 levels of gratitude. There's 3 layers of feasting. And I want to pull these out today. Because when we're training our brain, we need to know what level of gratitude we're in. The first level, that's gratitude for things that come to us, things that people do for us that are obvious, those things that people right in front of us, those quick notice of the niceties that are there. I call this the low-lying fruit, but in case it's there to see, and we just have to recognize it and express gratitude for it. The second level of gratitude is when we search out things to be grateful for. We're here in the present moment. We've become more observant. We look with appreciation. We contemplate our good fortune. We don't take things for granted. And in fact, we look at our lives with awe because of what we do have. It's the ability to see the ordinary and be in awe that it's there. You know, many of you probably, like me, have gone to third world countries, and we can see the most happy, impoverished people. And why are they happy? Well, it's absolutely not because they have a ton of things. It's because they're grateful for what they do have, and they're in the present moment enjoying what they have. There's a lesson there. There is a lesson there. So level 3 of gratitude is when we see the vistas, we see the blessings, we express gratitude, even when times are hard, even when others conspire around us, even when we're going through really tough times, even times of adversity, even when And we seek and find those things that we can be grateful for. And it brings peace and hope and joy and those higher frequency feelings and emotions in the midst of adversity and hardship. We can't wait to be grateful when life is smooth or when someone has done something extraordinary for us. It's those times of even when that we need to be grateful even more. So all three levels of that gratitude hold a superpower. Gratitude is a superpower. It's a power tool. Remember how we talked about science of elevating, leveling up your frequency by going into gratitude. It will not only help with anguish, the hurt, the hardship, but it'll put you in a mind that's better able to problem solve. It will relieve the body from high levels of cortisols and other stress hormones. It can help us cope better, help us relate to others better. And when we put on that lens of gratitude, the focus of gratitude, we sit at a continual feast. We're not left wanting because we're feasting, focusing and feasting, focusing and feasting. It's a choice. It's a skill, and it takes practice. There is no one and done gratitude. It's the state that we choose to put ourselves in when we focus so that we can feast. And it's free. Not a lot of things in life are free, but it's free. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're in a job that you really don't love, but you have bills to pay, you need the insurance, but there's so much about that job that's difficult. And I'm not talking about staying in places that are dangerous, but I'm talking about, for many reasons, being in that job is just hard. There's an opportunity for us to say now, all right, the stinky fish are pretty obvious. I'm standing right over them. There's flies buzzing all around me. But okay, if I divert my gaze in this situation, where is the vista? Where is that bright spot? We search for it. Maybe it's that one person that you work with, that you relate to, that you can align with. And that's your vista. Or maybe it's the customers that you can see a difference in because of what you're able to do with them. And that's your vista. And maybe it's the mortgage that you're now able to pay because of this job. And that's your vista. Where can you focus? What can be your mountain range? Maybe it is looking for another job. But for now, where can you divert your gaze, recognize the vista, feel gratitude for that even one thing, feel it and level up your frequency. And who knows if being in that higher state may attract you to a new opportunity. Maybe it's a relationship with someone you have to deal with that's difficult for you or irritating. What in that surrounding or that circumstances can you focus on to take you to a level of gratitude? Is it something that you're learning because you are in that relationship? Or is it other people that you're being now associated with because you're in that relationship? Where is the vista? And yes, sometimes we really do have to search. But when we can find a place that can take us into that piece of gratitude, if we choose that lens, that focus, that vista, that bright spot, in all that craziness, we can go there as often as we want. Okay, and there's a residual blessing here. There is a residual bonus, and it's kind of a secret, but not really. But I want you to know about it. Do you want to know a secret? This is so good. When we change what frequency we hang out in, and I mean, when we level up and take ourselves to a place of gratitude and joy as much as we can, and yes, as humans, we are going to feel the up and down. Remember, that's normal. But listen here, when we level up our frequency, people around us change. I'm not kidding. People around us change. They either start becoming more positive or they can't stand the positivity, the light, the joy, and they drop out of our lives. We have a saying in Level Up, and that is, your vibe attracts your tribe. So who's your tribe? And if you had a name for your tribe, and this is all in fun, are you the passion pals? You meet life with exuberance? Or are you the courageous crew daring to do new and hard things? Or are you the impatience posse? Or are you the complaining companions? It's true that what we vibrate out, our frequency attracts like things, just like a magnet. And if we're down in that lower spectrum of the chart, we actually are drawn to those that are vibrating in the same frequency because we feel more comfortable there. It feels familiar. But water finds its own level. But if we want to attract different, feel different, then we take ourselves to a place of hope, of optimism, of joy. And gratitude is the fastest way to get there. We determine the lens that we see the world through. It's a specialized lens. So how do we change our prescription so that we can wear those gratitude glasses? Well, the secret is in creating a consistent gratitude practice. It's about finding rituals that work for you. So I have 7 different little rituals that I want to throw out to you. And you see if maybe you're doing some of these and maybe you have some ideas that you want to share with me. So the first one was shared with me by a friend. And she said, start the day big, B-I-G, begin in gratitude, that acronym. So before you even get out of bed, before even fully awake, you know, that time when you're just like a little bit foggy and you're starting to wake up, begin in gratitude. Make it a daily habit to visualize what's good in your life. So put a smile on your face. Just that gesture of smiling sends a message to the brain like, oh yeah, okay, happy hormones we're supposed to start out with. And then with that smile on your face, you're expressing gratitude. All of a sudden you are starting to set yourself up, prime yourself for an amazing day. And then you want to take that to another level to make it even more powerful. Add movement, spread out your arms, feel the gratitude in your heart and speak the words if you can with enthusiasm. Now I like to jump out of bed and spread out my arms and talk about the things that I'm grateful for. This can impact your mood throughout the day, as well as help you sleep better at night. Okay, here's the second one. Start a gratitude journal or restart your gratitude journal. Journaling is an excellent way of self-therapy. And when you write, it accesses different parts of our brain. People who can find purpose and feel grateful for the good things to come out of a challenging situation show higher resilience and forgiveness. And reading your own words of gratefulness can help you feel better when you're struggling to be positive. But think of new things every night. This is an amazing exercise for brain training. Thinking out of the box stretches the way we think. So this is a powerful tool to use at night. So the last thing we do before we go to bed is we're reviewing things we're grateful for. So we go to bed and we start processing blessings and gratitude. Now, if you go to bed and the last thoughts that you have are worry and dread and anxiety, you're going to wake up with more. So get your mind away from those stinky fish and focus upward. So the third one, express gratitude to someone else at least once a week. Now, this can be a verbal appreciation. You speak it to them, or, okay, do we want to amp this up a little bit? Whenever possible, consider a gratitude letter. You know, call to mind someone who's done something for you that you have not even thanked them for. And hopefully it's somebody who's alive, but it could be a relative, a friend, a teacher, a colleague, someone. But pick someone and then write a letter to them. It only has to be a page. But describe what this person did, why you're grateful for this person, and how this person affected your life. And then find them and read the letter to them. You read the letter to them. And then pay attention to their reaction. Discuss your feelings. And give them a letter. The residual goodness from this can last up to 3 months. This is a power hitter. This is an immune booster. It's like energy drink on steroids. Okay, the fourth one, establish those gratitude rituals like prayer or grace over your food. Maybe prayers at night with gratitude before you go to bed to kind of set the tone. One family shared that at dinner time, they always shared at night something they were grateful for the day. And a lot of times they were grateful for learning because they talked about their epic fails that they had during the day. And failure was not a bad thing in their life. It was about what did they learn from it. So I thought that was interesting. Now, number 5, Go on gratitude savor walks. Savor, SAVOR. This could be your family or alone, but walk in nature. Walk in the city streets and smile at people. Savor the new things that you notice and can appreciate. Remember, we're expanding what our mind has experienced. Don't listen to a podcast or something be on your phone. Be present and savor whatever surrounds you. Gratitude is a practice that has to be learned. Number 6, model kindness for your friends, kids, the workplace, by smiling, saying thank you, appreciation, noticing when things are done. So be that model. We can be the influence and set the tone wherever we are, regardless of whether people are non-responsive to what we're doing or even appreciative. But we can set the standard. Maybe we even have little reminder notes or post-it notes or clever memes. And as employers, our gratitude can either squelch someone or can ignite a fire. Harvard Medical School did a study, and they saw that grateful leaders motivated employers to become more productive. They did a study and found that employees who were thanked by their managers made 50% more fundraising calls than their counterparts who hadn't heard the same token appreciation. Number 7, I have a miracle bell. It's a bell I keep in my kitchen. And whenever we have something to be grateful for, or we see a miracle that has happened in our lives, we ring the bell. And sometimes we forget to ring it. Sometimes we're out of the habit and someone will say, hey, we haven't rung the bell in a long time. But even my friends that I will share something exciting or joyful, they'll text me back and they'll say, ring the bell. So it really has been a fun ritual to be able to help us remember to be grateful. Now, in ending here, I just want to share with you one of my favorite stories from the Bible. And it's the story of the parable of the 10 lepers. And they have learned that Jesus, who's been healing people, is coming to their area and they are seeking for him. And if I read from the NIV, it says, now on his way to Jerusalem, Jesus traveled along the border between Samaria and Galilee. And as he was going into a village, 10 men who had leprosy met him. They stood at a distance, obviously because they had to, right? It's law, and called out in a loud voice, Jesus, Master, have pity on me. And when he saw them, he said, go show yourselves to the priests. And they went and they were cleansed. And one of them, when he saw he was healed, he came back praising God in a loud voice, and he threw himself at Jesus' feet and he thanked him. And he was a Samaritan. And Jesus asked, were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Has no one returned to give praise to God except this foreigner? Then he said to them, rise and go. Your faith has made you well. Now think about this faith of this man. On the scale, faith is clear up there by gratitude, and it has a high frequency. And he said, thy faith has made thee whole. That higher frequency was a healing frequency. So what was life like this leper? Have you ever wondered? Like, man, I was thinking, what's the prequel and the after story to this guy? I can't even imagine the harshness of his life. His hope must have been dashed every day, but yet you get from the story that there's a resilience in this man to keep him going. Remember, they were treated as the lowest of the low. They acted as if they were dead because they were told that you have this skin condition because you have sinned in your life. They were shamed from every angle. I can just imagine that this man that turned back, he must have heard stories of Jesus that was healing people, and he must have kept the hope growing. And he joined up with others, and maybe he was the one that got them excited about finding Jesus. Maybe he was the one that encouraged them of the possibility of a new life. And maybe he was the one that searched out and found Jesus and cried out, Jesus, Master, have pity on us. But I was always curious, why did he say, go and show yourself to the priests? Curious as to why Jesus would say that, but they ran to see the priest because it was the priest that had to declare them clean so they could go back to their families. So when they heard the words, go and show yourself, they knew they would be whole. But only 1 out of 10 returns. I often wonder, did he write upon tablets his story for his posterity? Did he look for opportunities to bless others as he had embraced a new life that he'd never been allowed for? I mean, that's a sequel that I want to watch. We could call it The Growth of the Grateful Leper. Come on now. Somebody out there needs to make and produce that movie. But we can hypothesize, but what we do know is that he expressed. He not only noticed and rejoiced, and his heart was full, but he returned and expressed gratitude. Just by scientific results, his endorphins would last for 3 months. And can shame and gratitude coexist? No. What else did we learn about the nature of this leper? Well, he was one who was aware from whence his blessings came, and he expressed. So there's a lesson here. Are we grateful? Do we turn back? Do we recognize and feel it and do it? Do we express? So gratitude is the lens by which we see, but it's a specialized lens. Gratitude glasses are not rose-colored glasses. They are realistic glasses that hone in on what is right with the world. The stinky fish are there. We can get caught up in the stench and the focus there. It isn't like we can ignore the stinky fish, but we can feast on the vista, divert our gaze, and rise above it even for a little while. Gratitude is just not for that Thanksgiving holiday. Gratitude is a light switch that flips on how we view our lives. When we're programmed for gratitude and see the world through that lens, we're able to be present in the moment and savor that which is, instead of seeing what is lacking or not to our liking. We're able to see what is being done for us instead of focusing on what is not being done. We're able to see in others the attributes we appreciate instead of the idiosyncrasies that drive us crazy. And gratitude is not a Pollyanna blanket that hides reality from us, but it's the ability to filter through that murky fog of chaos that surrounds us and see what's right with the world. Gratitude does not excuse abuse, misdeeds, deception, and anything immoral, unethical, or illegal, but instead it allows us to rise above all that is happening and see the areas or pockets of brightness or light in our life in other areas that can carry us through tough times and not only keep us afloat, but give us clarity. A grateful heart, it's full and swollen with thankfulness, despite, even when. Going into gratitude changes our vibration dramatically, and a grateful heart sits at a continual feast. What's the ritual that you will put together so that you can have a key that unlocks opportunity and doors? Oh, if you like what you've learned today, you may love learning the empowerment curriculum of Level Up. To learn more about this journey for adults and teens, go to nobrainers.com and just explore the website. Just look around. Get curious. We're all creators, so I invite you, my friend. Let's see what we can do to create more gratitude in our lives. Thanks for spending time with me today, and we'll see you next time.